Good morning. Welcome to the Saturday live stream. Welcome. My name is Angela. Oh, Heidi. Heidi thinks you're talking. Where are you? Come here. Come here, puppy. Heidi's like, you're talking. You must be talking to me. That's Heidi the Sheltie. How's it going? My name is Angela. Welcome to my YouTube presentation. On this channel, we do vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And we don't really do frameworks or libraries just because I like to practice the vanilla. So there's that. How's it going? Today is Saturday, February 28th. It's the last day of February. I hope that means that spring is coming. How is everybody doing? I hope you're doing really well. Let's see who's here. Malik Robinson is here. Go Elmo. One of the mods in the chat. Hello. Monique Robinson is here. Hi, Monique. One of the OGs. Rahul is also here. Monique, Malik, and Rahul are all the mods in the chat. I appreciate them a lot. They keep everything fast, fun, and friendly. They keep an eye on things. Although my channel's pretty small, we don't have a lot. I've had occasional shenanigans in the chat over the last year and a half, but not too many. Not too many. And when shenanigans do take place, they are very quick to act. They're very quick. They have my back and I love them for it. Saeed is here. Hello. I am doing really well. Terry Murray is here. Welcome, Terry, our friend in Toronto. How's it going? I'm glad you guys can join us. So here's what we're working on. We're working on this new build that I'm calling Colorado. And, I didn't pull up the design files. Let me grab those. I have some ideas for what I would like to do today. We're getting really close to needing to work on the JavaScript portion of the mobile styles to support this navigation. And I was thinking a lot about, my approach to JavaScript is different in every stream because honestly, it's the thing I'm the least comfortable with. But when it comes to navigation, I tend to have my system dialed in pretty well for how I deal with navigation. Now, the difference is that we are doing navigation with submenus. And I had a really, a really annoying conversation with ChatGPT last night about my strategy for how I approached the submenus. Hold, please. And ChatGPT, I don't know. I feel like ChatGPT was trying to, it gets it wrong sometimes, right? There's this balance with ChatGPT between genuinely trying to be helpful because it is programmed to be as helpful as possible. It also gets things wrong. And so then when I point out what I think it is wrong about, it will immediately switch gears and be like, oh yeah, you're right. And I'm like, oh, can't you just get it right from the beginning? So once again, it's just a really good example of AI is not ready to take over. I'm so sorry. It's just not. Not after last night, not after my conversation last night and me pointing out some of the things that I was like, no, you're wrong. That's not the right approach. And I know it's not the right approach. And I don't know. It was just a very annoying conversation. So we're doing it right. Even if you have an opinion, collective you have an opinion about how you think it should be different, I feel like we have spent a lot of time over the last, how many streams, really talking through what the user experience is supposed to be for navigation with a submenu. And I am confident in the choices that I've made and the functionality that I think we are doing. Now, it did point out a couple of good things, like We, right now, when we hover on the LI, we basically give a preview of the sub menu. But it's not persistent. And on mobile, we would need it to be persistent. There's no hover on mobile. You have to click the button to make this submenu appear, and it will be persistent until you either click outside somewhere else in the document or you click the button again, right? So ChatGPT pointed out that it would, even though on hover we get this preview, we should still make it so you click the button for the persistent navigation to always be showing, and that you either click the button again to clear it or dismiss it, or you click outside the navigation anyplace else on the document to close it. It also pointed out that if one is already open, clicking someplace else, which maybe is the way it phrased it, it said, okay, if this navigation is open and persistent, and then you go and click someplace else, that should close this first. So you shouldn't have two open at the same time. I feel like that's kind of the same thing though as clicking anywhere outside the LI, like anywhere else in the document. I'm not quite sure. I hadn't thought it. See, that's the part I didn't think about until just right now when I was saying it out loud. But we're doing the right thing. I think we're doing the right thing, and I think this is such a good exercise, for me at least, and hopefully for you. Even if maybe you disagree with my approach, this is a good exercise for you to see how this process works, and that it's okay to take the time and to really ask questions about what is a normal user experience. So I'm going to go to Amazon just because it's such a big website that like 1 billion people use. Amazon has sub-navigation, right? Let's go here. Amazon has sub-navigation. So right here, medical care. And then there's this little arrow. It's not persistent. I can click it and it gets focus, but it's not persistent. Huh. But our navigation would need to be persistent for mobile, right? Because there's no hover, so you have to tap and it would stay open until you specifically closed it again. So maybe looking, yeah, we're close. We're getting really close. So, and Crispa is here. Crispa's doing great. I'm doing well too. Code with Chris. Yeah, you know, hanging in. Saeed is asking me if I have tea or coffee. I have coffee. I am a coffee drinker. I love the idea of tea, but I prefer coffee. Yeah, Raul has a good point about ChatGPT. ChatGPT invents something that doesn't exist. Yeah. I also think that, and it's getting better, but if ChatGPT is only trained on bad information, how can it give me good information? So, but I don't know where it's getting its information from. I just know that sometimes I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's right. Should there be limits on artificial intelligence in development? I don't know. Is a computer science degree necessary to succeed in tech? These are two good questions. Should there be limits on artificial intelligence in development? I don't know the answer to that. I think I can only talk about my own approach, which is that I am self-selecting. I think that's the word that fits the situation. I'm self-selecting my use of AI I don't love GitHub Copilot. Now, if I was if I was a normal 9 to 5 working developer, I would probably be using GitHub Copilot a lot more than I currently do. But since I'm more of a content creator and I'm starting to think a lot more about digital products, I'm very much in problem solving mode. I don't want AI to do all the work for me. I want to sit down and figure it out. I'm really enjoying that process. So I use ChatGPT sparingly. I ask questions about structure and user experience, and it will often try to give me code that I didn't ask for, and I'll stop it and say, I didn't ask you for that. This is the question. I didn't ask you to give me code. Is a computer science degree necessary to succeed in tech? I don't think so. I have a master's degree in software engineering. I just finished that degree in 2024. I had an excellent career in tech prior to having a degree. My degrees prior to having a software engineering degree was I had an associate degree in paralegal studies, and I was a paralegal at a Minneapolis law firm. Then I had a Bachelor of Science degree in individualized study with an emphasis on management and employment law, which is literally the most boring thing you can do. And then I have another master's degree in technical communication, technical writing. None of those things are computer science degrees, and I had an awesome career in tech prior to getting the software engineering degree. I only got the software engineering degree because I worked at a university and it was free. They paid for it. I got a free master's degree. So it felt crazy to not do it. That is the only reason I did it. I'm glad that I did it. I learned a lot. It's not necessary. It's not required. In my experience, if you can do the work, that is more powerful than any degree. I think a degree shows that you have a certain foundation, or it implies that you have sort of a baseline understanding. And I think employers do look for that. But I think having an active GitHub, contributing to open source work, building your own open source work, having a strong portfolio. For example, if you want to be a front-end developer and you don't have a portfolio that reflects front-end work, if you don't have a personal website and you're not highlighting your own projects, front-end projects that you've done, I think that's a problem. I think that that's way more important than having a computer science degree, in my opinion. So show employers that you can do the work that they are hiring you for, right? The term is called AI hallucination. Yeah, I think it's so weird that they use the word hallucination, because hallucination to me means something much different than AI just getting it wrong. So I think it's funny that we've chosen that word to describe bad information. Let's just call it bad information. That's what it is. But you're right. That's the term. So I don't use that term because it's so weird to me. Can self-taught developers compete with university graduates? Of course. I did. I had a great career. It's not, I think you may have entered this comment into the chat while I was giving my last answer. I think showing you can do the work is more important than having a degree any day of the week. That's my opinion. That's my experience. That's why I say that. For developing countries like mine, I found that a degree is necessary if you want to work abroad. The immigration office might not grant a visa, even if the company sponsors it. That's interesting. So that's not something that I know a lot about, but I believe you that you are having that experience, and you would definitely, Rahul, know that much better than I would. Yeah, I mean, I was born in the US. I've spent my entire life in the US, and my own experience. But even as a self-taught developer, I still had a master's degree. So I had still completed, a high level of education. So I tell you that it's possible to succeed in tech being self-taught as somebody who did so with a master's degree in technical communication. So take that for what it's worth. That's just my own experience. But I will, and I know what Rahul is saying makes a lot of sense, but I also don't forget that you need to have a portfolio. You need to have demonstrable experience. So if you don't have work experience and you're trying to find a job, I really think, I don't know what it is that is stopping you from building a personal website and displaying the things that you've done, your own projects. Like, look at everything that I've done. I don't do client work. I don't do any of my contracting or freelancing work online. We just do these projects that I release as open source work. This is my entire portfolio. I don't put my client work in my portfolio on my website. I keep all of that private. I only put the work that I do on stream in my portfolio. And every like 2 or 3 weeks, we're completing a new project. And you are literally seeing me do the entire project in a couple hours at a time. If I can do it, you can do it. That's it. If I can do it, you can do it. You can do it. Saeed says, please explain pseudo classes and pseudo elements. Well, I'm not going to explain them now, but I will tell you a video that you can watch. I made a video about this and nobody watched it. I made this video 7 months ago. It has 88 views. But hang on one second here. I think, okay, I'll put it in the chat. I made a video about pseudo elements and pseudo classes. It was a super fun video. It was my first time making an explainer video. So if you want to know about pseudo selectors, I think that's a good video to watch. And if you have questions, let me know. It's a bit more than I can explain now. So, okay, are we ready? What do we think? I love the conversation. And hey, do me a favor, if you're new here, or if you haven't yet, go ahead and like the video. I would appreciate it so much. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. We passed 2,000 subscribers, I think, last weekend, which is super exciting. I know that I don't really make viral content here. You know, what deploying with rsync or FileZilla, that's never going to be a viral video, and that is just fine with me. Those are evergreen, searchable content. That's what that is, and I'm good with that. But yeah, we crossed over 2,000 subscribers. This channel is almost monetized. I'm pretty excited about that too. And every little bit helps. So if you could like the video, it helps the algorithm. Subscribed if you're not already. I'm here 4 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And we just hang out and practice. We just do these practice projects just to get better at building UIs, get better at accessibility. We throw in a little search engine optimization in there because accessibility and search engine optimization, they are tightly, they are absolutely related. They complement each other and they're both necessary. And yeah, so that's that. If you are over on Instagram, go ahead and follow me there if that's a place that you like to hang out. I do the occasional dev adjacent lifestyle type content over there. I would like to start posting more, but I don't seem to be getting around to it, so we'll see. And you can always reach out via DM if you have questions. It's a good place to find me. So, and I genuinely would like to grow my audience there this year as well. And Malik says, quick update. Malik is in his design internship. He says he met with the rest of the developers on Thursday, got assigned a design task, which is due on Tuesday after the all staff meeting. Pretty much done. Working in a team is a lot easier. Oh, good. I'm glad that you're having a good experience. I'm glad you're having a good experience, and we love the updates. Malik is a design intern who is finally starting to get some tasks. We love that. Okay, so here's the plan for today. I think today is going to be pretty much an all CSS day. We have quite a bit of JavaScript to implement because we have submenus. I'll be honest, I don't want to struggle through that in a live stream. I want to take a little bit of time this evening and sort that out myself. I don't usually do that. I'm usually willing to kind of struggle through in a stream, and I'm just choosing not to do that this time. I want some time separately to come with a game plan. I really don't like having GitHub Copilot do everything for me. I'm growing very tiresome of going back and forth with ChatGPT to get answers to JavaScript questions. So I'm just going to do a little bit privately tonight. We'll come back and work on the JavaScript tomorrow. So today's pretty much going to be an all CSS day, which I think will get us into the hero and start into the body of the project. And I'm fine with that because I really like CSS. And that's like the thing that I could do in my sleep. I did have another idea, which was maybe on scroll we could do something here, right? I don't know. I'm not sure. Well, let's keep going. We have quite a bit to do. So desktop, everything is looking really, really good. Everything pops into mobile at 10:24. Right about here. So let's go ahead and style this. I was very happy with what we got done last week. I feel like our buttons just don't have these styles. So I kind of want our button to just have these styles. So let's go find that. I was also kind of thinking maybe about doing like another sprint because we missed 3 days in February. I had a sick dog and I missed a couple of streams, and I would like to catch up with those 3 streams. And since this project is so big and there's so much going on, and I'm feeling pretty aggressive about the number of pages that I want to get built, it wouldn't hurt to do a couple of sprints. We could catch up and make up that missed time, and it would just be like really good productive work time. So yeah, so keep your eyes open for that. You may see some extra streams scheduled. So, but I haven't decided yet on any days or anything like that. So, okay. So I think that was our search button right here. So these are the styles. I feel like we could be, these probably also match these styles for the social buttons. How much you want to bet? Except one is a button. One is a button and one is an anchor element. So can we just take these styles, create a class, and give either a button or an anchor element those styles without having to repeat? This would be the 3rd time now we have to repeat these styles. So let's just, maybe we call this like icon Just icon styles? Well, so we wouldn't have to specify anything. So if we just did this, we might want to be a little more specific. So maybe this is an icon, whoops. Maybe this is an icon button. So we would give icon button the class either on the button or on the anchor element. That means then that we're adding extra classes to the navigation. Oh yeah, because social nav. I feel like there's a more efficient way to do this. I mean, we could just add icon button to each of these, but then we're adding extra classes to this. And we're adding extra classes to these. But maybe we could still have one set of styles. So maybe instead of doing that, Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Well, it was bound to happen again sometime, wasn't it? Sorry about that. Luckily there was like 8 people watching, so. Okay, so let me tell you what, you didn't miss a lot. You didn't miss a lot. It was just me being indecisive about some button styles. So here's what I did. I made a copy of, I'll show you. I mean, technically you already saw it, you just didn't hear it, right? I made a copy of these social navigation anchor element styles, and I made a copy of them for the menu buttons. That's really all I did. I was thinking out loud about how I could make these styles more global, and the more I talked about it, which you could not hear, the more exhausted it made me feel. So I just made a copy and I styled the menu buttons. So that's literally all that you missed. Sorry about that. So now we have our buttons styled. And let's just move this over, and then we're going to style this drawer right here. So, boy, I'll have to do timestamps on this video, which I haven't been very good about doing lately, but I will do timestamps on this video today so people can clearly see the parts of the video where I accidentally muted myself. Someday I'll get over that. Someday I won't do that. Okay, so here's our button, menu button. We just want to move this over, and then let's give a little bit of box shadow to our drawer. So on desktop, we definitely want to make sure that there isn't any box shadow. So we're going to say none. But then for mobile, we'll give it a little box shadow. So we'll say box shadow. So we're going to say 1 pixel on the x-axis, which is horizontal. And then we're going to say 0 pixels on the y-axis because you don't see anything on the top or the bottom. And then we're going to do 1 pixel blur, 1 pixel spread. And we'll say RGBA. And we want black, which is 0, 0, 0. And 10% alpha transparency, and there you can see a nice little box shadow now. And Malik says that when I mute myself, it makes the streams that much more relatable. Yeah. Okay, that's good, I guess. Sorry about that, guys. Nah, what can you do? Honestly, it's a good life lesson when you make a mistake, which being muted for 4 minutes, trust me, it's not a tragedy. Just acknowledge it and move on, right? So, okay. So there's our box shadow, and then let's move that button over. So I think I'm going to do this. We'll move that. This is the close button. Menu, oh, close, menu close. So we'll say menu, close. We're just going to say margin. I do want some space around. So we're going to say margin 0.5 rems on the top, 0.5 rems on the right, auto on the left, and 0.5 rems on the bottom. Hang on. Doot. Hang on. I think I got this backwards. This is the bottom. And then auto on the left. There we go. So now that moves the button over. Margin auto on the left or right is like magical. It's very powerful. Okay, so now we have on the UL, let's just start, basically we're just going to start deconstructing the navigation. So the first thing is let's remove this border, and then let's remove Well, we also need to remove this padding on the desktop. So we've got this padding inline 1 rem, which we need for desktop. So let's take out the padding in the media query. So padding, whoops, inline 0. And then we need to take out the border, which I think is on the UL, which is here. That's the main nav. So border, none. All right. The other thing that I want to do is I want to take out the hover for mobile. There's no reason to have a hover on mobile, so let's remove that. So the hover is this right here and right here. So I'm actually going to copy this entire thing, but we're not going to use the entire thing. We still need that. And we still need that. But I don't want that hover when we're on mobile. Oh, we're still getting the hover on mobile. Oh, I didn't change the value. That's why. Display. How do I, can I just display? Can you unset a display? What are my options? Unset, does that work? No. I don't want to say display none. Maybe, do I just need to say display none to ignore the hover? Yeah, I think so. Okay, that's what I want. Then let's remove these borders on the LIs. So main nav LI border right none. Okay. And then these need to be, these right now are flex auto. But I think can I just do a width? Can we just say width 100%? Because that's what I want. Yes, that's what I want. Excellent. Now we're going to put a border on the bottom of each LI. So instead of border right, we're going to do border bottom. 1 pixel, solid, var. You see how you just kind of deconstruct it? Just go one at a time and deconstruct what you're doing. This is perfect. This is working out perfectly. Now let's put a border on the top of just the main nav right here. So border none, but really I'm going to say border top 1 pixel, solid, var, gray. There we go. Yeah, So now, I mean, I thought that was going to take a lot longer. So now when that class is added and removed, just like that. Yeah, so we're going to do the JavaScript tomorrow. I know it feels like we should be doing it now, but I just really want to spend some time working on it myself first. So let's just keep going with some styling. And then I promise you, I started the stream on time today. Yes, I muted myself for 4 minutes, but I also started the stream on time today. So I feel very confident about the fact that I'm telling you that I am going to work on this tonight. And Rahul is saying text align left. Yeah, sure, you could do that. I don't think that would be wrong. So I'm going to leave it centered. But you could definitely do text align left. Let's keep going. Let's keep going with our styling. Let's jump into the hero and just see if we can get knock some stuff out here on the rest of this, because this is where are we at now? This is like the part 6. We're still working on the header and the navigation. So, but this is looking great. I think this is looking great. And this is, we are supported up to, I'm not even going to do anything else different with this header. So here we are at 375. This is iPhone SE, which is pretty small. I try to make sure things are supported up to, I mean, technically we could move this over. I'm going to leave it though, because I would actually like to see it on a phone before I make a final decision. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to come back and make adjustments to your header or your mobile styles. But I'm very happy with what I see here. So we will do the JavaScript tomorrow. And yeah, I just really want to jump into some of this CSS. So, okay, hero, finally, let's do it. And there's not a ton to do here. Well, let's refer to our, okay, so we do have some styles over top. The mockup says that we have a slider. I'm not putting in a slider. I think we're going to have to put in a slider for our testimonials, and I'm fine with that, but I really am tired of doing like hero sliders, so we're not going to do that. Let's get this image styled in the background, and then we have some text to go over top. We can close this up. So here is our hero. So this is the hero figure. And what is the aspect ratio here? 1270 by 650. We're going to follow that aspect ratio exactly. So 1270 divided by 650 is 1.95. I mean, if you want to get really technical, it's 1.9538461. We're going to do 1.95 to 1. You could probably do 2 to 1. I'm going to do 1.95 to 1. So we'll say width 100%, height auto, and then aspect ratio 1.95 to 1. And then we'll do the hero image, width 100%, height 100%, object fit, cover. There we go. Now we want to start your work with a smile, view details. So we do have a button style there. So we probably want to put this H2 and this button inside a container. And we are going to have to make the figure position absolute. And we are going to have to put the aspect ratio on the parent. Yeah, if we want this to be in the background, we could put this in a container and make that position absolute. My preference is to put the image in the background with position absolute. Yeah, so that's going to be the better approach. So we're going to do hero wrap, and we're going to say position relative. And then this has to have the aspect ratio of 1.95 to 1. But it also has to have the height and the width. And then we don't need that. We can do that. And then this is going to be position absolute. That takes it out of the flow. So we can say top 0, left 0. So this is positioned absolutely inside the wrap container, and then the image is the same styling inside the figure. So I think it'll look exactly the same, but now that text has disappeared, and the reason why is because it's behind the image. So this is position relative. I'm going to say z index 0, and then I'm going to say z index -1. We should see our text over top of the image now. And then let's put a container. We'll say div with a class of text. We'll say hero text. Hero text. So now we just have this one container to style. Right here. Here's our hero text. So again, on the wrap, I'm going to say display flex. And again, this is just the way that I've discovered that I really like to do this. I've done it a million different ways over the years. This is my preference. Display flex wrap is going to be wrap. And then align content center. And that's going to center it horizontally, not vertically, but horizontally. So you can see here it's centered horizontally. And then we style the hero text kind of the good old-fashioned way. Hero text. Let's give this a little... Well, this doesn't really have anything behind it. So let's see if we can get this to work. I know that that's kind of breaking the rules, but let's see if we can get this to work without needing to put like something behind it, a background behind it. But we will if we have to for accessibility. So I'm just going to give this a width of 768 pixels, a max width of 100%, and some margin 0 auto. And now this is centered. So now let's just center everything inside this container. So we'll say text align center, and we'll make the color white. Perfect. Okay. So it needs to be uppercase. Obviously it needs to be bigger, and we need to style a button. So we'll say text transform uppercase. We need a font size. I don't know. What do we think? 2 rems. We'll clamp it. So I'm just going to guess at some styles. We'll see if this works. We also need to push that down a little bit on mobile, make sure there's some space there. Definitely needs to be smaller. What's happening here? Yeah, I think 1.5 is pretty big. I mean, probably 1 is fine for mobile. Two is definitely fine for desktop. It resizes really well. Yeah, that works. I think we need some padding in that container, especially on mobile. So we'll give it a padding of, maybe we could just give it a padding of 1 rem all the way around. This is obviously not accessible. So once we're, okay, so we spent a lot of time making sure that there was padding on the left and right when the screen is resizing, because I think we can agree that we want to see some space here, right, to preserve the layout. But once the navigation, once the header pops into mobile, I don't feel like I need this space anymore on the left and right. That just feels weird to me. So let's take that out. So this is hero margin inline 1 rem. At 1024, we're going to take that out. Let's just see how it looks. So let's put in a media query. Of 1024. And this is the hero margin inline 0. Doesn't that look better? And then I don't feel the need. Okay, we have a z-index issue, obviously. So our header is sticky. We need to make sure that this has a positive z-index. So let's do that. So right here. There we go. I don't feel the need anymore to adjust the spacing there. Like, it's okay if it's just right snug up and underneath there, since we adjusted the spacing on the left and right. And I don't have a mock-up telling me what this is supposed to look like on mobile. I'm winging it. Winging a prayer when it comes to what this is supposed to look like. And I'm just going by what I think looks good. And I dig it. Obviously, if you are working for an agency or an organization and they give you mock-ups and they're like, hey, buddy, make it look like this, you should do that. But in my experience, that is so rare. I guess, it's been a few years. I don't know what people do anymore. But it has been so rare in my career that I was given a full set of mock-ups for both desktop and mobile. You get a set of mock-ups for one or the other. But I like this. Okay, let's make sure. What happens now if we just put a little, I really don't want to put a background around this text, but I know it's not accessible without it. Let's give this some text shadow and see what happens. So this is the hero text. This is the hero heading. Hero heading, text shadow. And this is a little different. Box shadow has blur and spread. I think text shadow just has blur or spread. I can't remember. So you get one, it's X, Y, and then it's either blur or spread. It's one or the other. But we want both XY, and I'm going to do 1 pixel, and then we'll do black, so 0, 0, 0. And you need a lot of alpha transparency with text shadow. 10% for box shadow is pretty strong for what I use it for. Text shadow, you need a lot more. So let's go with 25 and see how it looks. That gives it a nice little jump. What happens if we bump this up to like 50%? I like that. That looks good too. Can you see there that that's the Y? You can go up and you can go down. And then you can see here that this is the X. So you go to the right is a positive number, to the left is a negative number. Let's do this. And we're just going to sit with it. I know I'm breaking some rules. Just let me have my moment. What if we could just find another image that has more contrast in the background. So let's just keep styling. Let's make our button. I really don't want to put like a container around this and make it like white or black with opacity. I would rather find an image. And I think I already said that I felt like I wanted to look for a new hero image anyways, because I optimized these to not, I don't want to say over optimized, but I was aggressive with my optimization, and this is a little too small for this container. So maybe we'll just go look for a better hero image. That's called image sourcing, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and style a button with the class of button. My general rule of thumb when I'm styling buttons, whatever the first button on the page is, that's my default style for buttons, and then I build off of that. So this is going to be basically a hollow button with an outline, and it has a background of transparency. Our text is uppercase, no problemo. Also, does this text seem a little thinner? So this is an H2, which has a font weight of 700. Let's go with a font weight of 400. I like that better too. And also, so this breaks after the third word. So let's make this container a little narrower. So what, 500? Yeah. Font weight 400. That helps with our background issue, doesn't it? How does that scale? I still think that we're going to need to find a new background, a new image. But we don't have to do it right now. So let's style that button. All right. I'm going to put some generic button styles right here. And then whatever buttons come after this, we just build on these styles, because anything that comes after this would be like a background or a color, right? Not structure. They wouldn't structurally be different. They would probably be about the same. And Malik is saying that he does like the shadow on the text. Silence for 24 hours is here. Welcome, Silence. We're happy to have you. Okay. Buttons. So we're going to need a little padding. I'm going to do 0.75 rems, and we'll just give this a color of white. Oh, and Ardian Trees is here. Oh, that's a name from the past. How you doing? Nice to see you too. Thanks for popping in, hanging out. How you doing? You know, people come and go, and that is completely fine. It doesn't bother me in the least. I know. I mean, I've been a lover of YouTube for many, many years. I know what it's like to find a channel, get really into it, and then you just kind of move on. And I totally get that. And it's fun though to see people come back and say hi. I enjoy that. So we'll say font size. I'm just going to say 1 rem because this text is pretty big. I am going to specify uppercase, even though we put uppercase on the entire container. I'm going to specify uppercase just for the button styles. So let's do text, transform, uppercase. I'm also going to give this a little bit of letter spacing of 1 pixel. We also need to do text decoration. None. Whoops. Text decoration. None. And then let's make sure that we have a border. I'm going to say 2 pixels, solid. Perfect. Let's give it, I like the space on the top and bottom. Let's give it a little extra space on the left and right. Maybe we'll just go up to a rem on the left and right. Yeah, I like that. This text has, I think the text also has text shadow. Maybe not. No, just the hero has text shadow. No, it's okay. So let's make sure that there's a hover focus active button, focus, and Ardian says that he just finished a project at his company and it was really tiring. Boy, I know what those are like. Those big projects that last for months, or maybe they last for over a year. We did a couple of those at St. Thomas. Congratulations for finishing. And I'm assuming by finish you mean deployed. It's done. It's live. Congratulations. So we want to make sure that the background color is transparent by default. So we're changing the background color and the color. So for focus hover active, the color will change to black. The background color will change to white. And then let's transition those. Transition, background color, 300 milliseconds, ease in out, and then color, also 300 milliseconds, ease in out. There we go. Should we make this text black or accent color green? Let's stick with black. I think I have a thicker border on my button because that is my preference. And then let's see how this all looks. So we've got a rem of padding. We have margin on the bottom of this H2. And then let's make sure that this is, probably want to make sure, since this is an anchor element, which is by default display inline. So we need to make sure this is display. I guess we can just do inline block. We need to make sure then that we're doing I think a line height of 1 is a good idea. Do we want these to be block or inline block? I feel like I do this every time. Yeah, if we do display block, centering can be a little trickier. But you remove that extra space that comes with inline and inline block. But maybe that extra space is fine. And then we can take off that extra space removes a lot of the hassle when it comes to spacing the button away from the content, right? It just sort of does it naturally for us. So maybe we want to keep our inline styles of 1.65. That's going to help us. Yeah, that's starting to make sense now. So let's take the margin off and see how it looks. So you have a little natural space there just from being display inline block. Do we need more space there? We can add more space. Well, we already have 1. Let's do 2 rems. And then this way we're at least only specifying margin on here. Oh yeah, that does look better. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I like it. I like that it's full width on mobile. I think let's clamp this margin. And should we clamp our padding for buttons? That is such a good question. I think we should. I think the answer is yes. And Ardian says, your live streaming helps me to relax and relieve my relieve my workload. Well, that's a nice compliment. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we love good vibes. We like good vibes. I'm all about it. I feel somebody told me last week, what did they say? They said, I watched your last replay. I genuinely learned a lot. I can't decide if I'm here for the content or the good vibes, something like that. I thought that was a nice compliment too. I appreciate that. I love that. If you just need a place to chill and relax, I'm here for it. Literally, I'm here for it. So let's go ahead and clamp this. This is the perfect place to do it. So we'll go 1 rem for mobile, 3 VW viewport width for that in-between size, and then 2 rems for desktop, and let's see how that moves. I do like it. Let's definitely clamp that padding for the button right here. So we're clamping 2 things. This and this. So let's start with the top and bottom. So we know that it's 0.75 rems on the desktop, maybe 0.5 rems for mobile. I'm totally guessing. And then 1 VW. Let's see if that works. I know there's like a mathematical way to do it. So let's see how these values respond. I mean, they respond pretty well, actually. I kind of feel like we may need to clamp our font size too, because this font is pretty big. I mean, look at this font size is this H2. Oh, interesting. I didn't read. Did we not do a font? Hello. Did we not do a font size? For the hero heading? Am I imagining that? I thought we did that. Hero text. I put it on the hero text. I should have put it on the hero heading. Got it. So let's move that. I was like, why does that look weird? Okay, hang on, let's fix that first. Hero text. This is the container. So we want to put this here. I want to move this. I guess that can stay there. There we go. That is a huge difference. That is way smaller. Okay. Rems and M's are not the same. So let's change this to 3. Let's change this to 4. This always seems to work, that if whatever my high end is in rems, if I increase that by 1 for viewport width, it's just a formula that seems to work. It's not in this case though. It kind of is. I still think it should be bigger. So that's, oh my God, Angela, you're doing the wrong thing here. Okay. Yes, I am going to move this out of the way because I'm changing that by mistake. There. Okay, this. There we go. Still fits nicely into our 500 pixel container. So there's our 3 rems. Right around 1168. Now we're at 4 VW. Resizing nicely. There we go. Right down to 1 rem. 1 rem right around 400 pixels. Breakpoint. Perfect. So now I think that might be a little too small. Maybe 1.1? And I think the button needs to I think we need to adjust this font size too, like maybe down to 0.9 for mobile. It just looks a little too big. How does that look? Okay, so I think this is good. Let's get back up to our button. So I'm going to clamp the padding down to 1/3. I'm not going to do anything with the left and right because I think that's okay. And then let's clamp the font size of the buttons. So I'm going to do 0.9 rems on mobile, 1 rem for desktop, and then what do we want for that in between size? I don't know if 2 VW is going to be too big. Let's try it out. So we are at 0.9 on the low end. Kind of go directly from 1 rem to 0.9. It might not be that, I don't know if it matters. I think it might be just fine to make that jump. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to leave it. We're going to leave it. This is pretty good. I think this is solid. I think it's great that we don't need a media query to handle these buttons. I mean, I fall in love with clamp over and over and over again. I love my media queries. Don't get me wrong. You guys know I love my media queries, but also to not need a media query to just change 2 things. That is pretty cool too. We like that as well. So, okay, what's next? What is next? I love it. I love it. Hold, please. See, now I feel like I'm playing with fire every time I mute myself to drink my coffee, but it is what it is. Okay. So next we have our headline section, which clearly needs to be wrapped. I really don't want to do an additional container there. Can we just wrap that in? We can. So what do we have here? We just have like a headline, right? So I put this in paragraph tags. So this is just going to be the headline. Headline. And I'm just going to go ahead and style the parent container. So we'll say text transform uppercase. I'm going to give this a little bit of letter spacing, 1 pixel, and text align center. And we obviously need to make that a little bigger. Let's make sure that the container has 1 rem of padding for when we're just resizing. So we'll say padding inline. Well, maybe we should give the whole thing some padding. Yeah. And then we just need to make it a little bigger. What do we think? Well, if this is 4 rems, maybe this is, I don't know, 2.5. Probably going to want to clamp it. So maybe on mobile it's 1.25. On desktop we'll say 2.5, And then what's our in-between size? Maybe 3.5 VW. What did I do wrong here? Clamp. Ooh, too big. And we definitely need some, well, what if we just do 2? And then let's put a character, maybe put a character width on this to make sure that we break a little early. So we could do headline, paragraph, we'll say max width. Oh my gosh, my screen is frozen. I don't know how long that's happened. Hang on. That happens sometimes. I have no idea why this happens. This has happened a couple of times. Hang on 1 second. There we go. Let's make sure. Wow, it's frozen on every single one. I don't know why that happened. Okay, that one's okay. That one's okay. That one's okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Boy, one time I was recording, recording a project, which I still haven't finished, but I spent like at least an hour, maybe longer, recording this project, like doing all the work, and my screen was frozen and I didn't notice it. Oh my God. That was not cool. So, okay. So here we are. Here's our headline. Mostly I'm styling the parent container. This might still be a little too big. Here's the paragraph text. Let's take off the margin. So let's do that first. We'll just say margin 0. The thing about streaming and doing this stuff is that anything could happen. And it's taken me 1.5 years to figure out. You just got to roll with it. You just got to roll with it. So we're going to have to do margin 0 auto because I already know that. And then we're going to do max width. Let's just do 60 characters and see. Beautiful and awesome WordPress theme. We create beautiful and awesome static websites. I think that that's pretty good. I'm good with that. Let's make it just a scooch smaller. So right now the font size is 2 rems. Let's do this here. I like that a little better. And then I think we could definitely adjust our line height to 1.25. And I think we could also clamp our padding. I think that font size could be smaller. 1.1 I think is better. Okay. So our line height is going to be 1.25. We're going to make our low end 1.1, and then let's clamp our padding. So 0.5 rems for mobile. I'm going to say 2 VW for that in-between size, and then 1 rem for desktop. That works really nice. Maybe just 1 is fine. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, what's next? Oh, we need a border on the bottom. So let's put a border on the bottom. So we'll put a border on the bottom of the headline, and then we'll have to add some margin also. Yeah. So we'll do that right here. So we'll say margin 0, 0, 1 rem, and then we'll do a border bottom, one pixel, solid gray. We might need a little more room, huh? Kind of screws up my padding. Well, I still want, so then this would, we have to change our padding on the top and bottom. But this can still be our padding on the left and right. So let's just check and see if this would work on desktop before we adjust it. There's a lot more space. There's a lot more space here. Oh, and clearly okay. So let's reset here and see what this looks like. IRL. It's a little bigger, isn't it? There, that looks pretty good. I do want to have roughly the same amount of space here. I don't know if we might not need margin for that though, if we're putting padding inside the container. So that margin is really just to push that thing beneath it away. But we already have 3 rems by default of padding in the following container, so we might not need this. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it. Let's style this section. It's technically the same amount. We'll come back to it, and if we need to add more margin to push this down, we can. But let's start with the next section. Okay, here is our heading. I am not doing a carousel here for these, so we're not going to have these little arrows. And this is the latest portfolio. And this is the section grid. And we have an H3, but I gave it a class of secondary heading. Is that right? Well, it's the home page. And I gave this an H2. This can be an H2. This doesn't need to be an H3. Yeah, this is an H2. So this can be an H2. Every section can have their own heading. So I'm going to say secondary heading. You know what else we could do? We could just do a class for center. Let's do that. Since they're all going to be text-align center. So that's the secondary heading. And then we'll just go ahead and center it. Just like that. And then we don't need specific styles for that. And I'm also kind of thinking, let's try to make these styles somewhat global. Maybe that would be a secondary heading. These would all be, even though I don't remember what we made these. I think we made these H3s. Technically, they would have the secondary heading class for styling. This would be basically the same thing. It would just be bigger. That's fine. This is all stuff you have to think about. It just is. So I'm going to do a set of global styles for the secondary heading. So it's going to be text, transform, uppercase, letter spacing, 1 pixel, font weight, 400. I mean, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. Let's for sure I think it's a good idea to clamp the size, and the size by default is getting the user agent style sheet of 1.5 M's. M's and Rems are wildly different. So let's do a font size for the secondary heading that's clamped, and then we can just change it if we need to, but it'll have the same basic styles. So we'll say 1 rem on the low end. So it's we'll do 1.5 rems on desktop. So maybe if I'm going to double that, 3 VW. That's pretty small. try that. So 1.5 rems on desktop, 1.25 for mobile, 2 viewport width. There, it really kind of goes very quickly from 1.5 to 1.25, but I'm fine with that because again, we don't need a media query. There is still a transition there. So this works. I'm good with this. So now we have a global style for all of our headings. And all we did was add center to get it centered where we need it. That works. Let's keep going with the rest of this grid. So we have 3 containers inside of a wrap. So we're going to say grid, wrap. We have these articles. So I'm going to say display, grid, grid template columns, repeat, 3, 1 FR. And then let's style our images. So 390 by 300. 390 divided by 300. That's 1.3 to 1 is our aspect ratio. So we'll say grid. This is our figure. We're going to style that figure container. We'll say width 100%, height, actually height auto. Aspect ratio is going to be 1.3 to 1. And then our grid images. I don't know if grid is the right class for that, but we're just going to go with it. This is going to be width 100%, height 100%, position, object fit, cover. And before I hit enter, I just want to emphasize the fact that you can take any image aspect ratio. So clearly we have 2 portrait and a landscape. You can style with CSS your images to fit in any size container. And I've worked places where developers were adamant that you not do this, that the image is always the exact dimensions of the container, and I just really disagree with that. CSS is incredibly powerful, especially if you're working in a content management system where you turn this system over to content creators, non-developers who are going to be doing image sourcing. Don't force them to learn a bunch of tools to make sure that they're cropping images. In many content management systems, images get used over and over again on several different pages. Don't force them to crop and optimize images for specific components or modules. Just make some flexible CSS, emphasize that they are getting their images down to an acceptable file size for page load time. And I know that this is hotly debated, and page speed, Google Page Speed Insights will point out that your images are not the size of your containers, but I promise you the file size is more important than that metric of making sure the image fits in the container. In my experience, you are much better off creating a flexible environment for your content creators or your clients or whoever you are handing this site off to. They will almost always be non-technical people, and make it easy for them to add images and content to the modules you build, and don't force them to learn how to crop images or to crop many different versions of an image. That's just my personal philosophy working with non-technical content creators. So that's why I do it this way every single time. And I like to demonstrate the fact that you can easily with CSS create containers that any image size can fit into, and that the emphasis should be on the file size, not the crop of the image. So let's go ahead and hit enter. And look at that. Now we have 3 perfectly sized images. Let's give this a little bit of gap. Tell me I'm wrong. If you think I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, but I don't think that I am. So let's give this 2 rems of gap. Let's give our H2s a little more margin. So we'll give these 2 rems. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then, so now we have H3s right here. I mean, is it just me, or does this seem like this is the same size as this? Kind of seems the same to me. So let's just style these together. And then let's also make these centered. This is the approach that I'm taking this time. See if I like it better than previous approaches. Yeah, and then let's give this, let's give these some, these need margin on the top and bottom, although technically now they're getting the margin on the bottom, right? So maybe the easiest way to deal with that is to just give our figure a little margin on the bottom. 0, 0, 2 rem. Yeah, that works. That seems pretty easy. And then I think we can just go ahead and center these. Now this is in the time element. The time element by default is display inline. So let's just make it display inline block, shall we? We'll do it right here. And then, well, if we make it display block, where else are we using time? Here and here. So no, display inline block I think is what we're going to want to do. So I can't just put a class of center here. So maybe instead of center on the H3, we just center everything in the container. There we go. And I'm not going to change the text color because I think that's dark enough. Okay, so I just noticed this. Every section has a border in between it. I did not notice that until literally just right now. So maybe we want to put that border on our section class. instead. So here's our hero. Here's our headline. We spent a lot of time working on padding for this headline. Maybe it's more efficient to do headline, section, wrap, and then just make sure that each of these things, because they all have a section class, has a border. So this could also be section. And then the styles that we did for so here's our section styles. We add a border and we deal with all this padding here instead of right here. Yeah. New strategy. And I think Saeed tried to, sorry Saeed, it looks like you may have used something that Nightbot didn't like. I apologize for that. Let me know what you were trying to say. let me know what you were trying to say. Minus the, it says symbols. So it must not have liked an emoji that you put in. Let me know if you can restate what you were thinking. Okay, so let's do this. Border, bottom, 1 pixel, solid, bar, gray. But it does make it full width. It makes the border full width because the sections are full width. So maybe the border should be on the wrap. It worked on the headline because section and wrap are on the same container. Do we want to put, what if we just put the border on the wrap? Let's just try it and see what happens. I feel like that's not going to work. So it worked here. It worked here. So we would definitely want do we want to put a wrap here? No, it worked here. Oh, here's the testimonial slider. So we could put a wrap here on the UL also. And so Saeed is asking, why is the border not visible sometimes? I think that you can't see it. Yeah. I can barely see it. It's very faint. It's very light. It doesn't come through well on the streaming software, although I think you can see it here. Can you see it here? Also, it's not coming through sometimes because it's not also working very well. My plan for how to apply this border didn't work. So I really want to apply it to the sections, but feels like the obvious answer is just don't make your sections full width. So I'm going to take this out for now. We're just not even going to worry about this border. We're going to get everything else. We're just going to keep going with these styles. So, because I feel like I'm deep into overthinking territory, maybe this is a good time to stop for today. What did we even get done? I feel like we made some good progress here today. We finished styling our mobile navigation. I'm going to work on the JavaScript tonight, this afternoon, and kind of sort out how I want that to function before I stream the process. But we did, for the most part, get our styles in place. So we just have to get these click events. We got our border, our hero done and styled. Everything is responsive. We're using a lot of clamp, which I think is good because I love a media query, but I also like to not need a media query. I'm trying to be incredibly thoughtful and intentional about global styles and not needing to repeat a lot of stuff. And so he says, in my case, why is the border not visible sometimes? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know why you can't see it. I'm so sorry. I can't see your code. So yeah, I think that this is looking really good. So stay tuned. I'm definitely thinking I'm going to do maybe another sprint, like a 5-day sprint, so we can catch up on some of the time that I missed at the beginning of February. And yeah, come back tomorrow. We're going to write some JavaScript first thing and get our navigation working the way we want to. Let's see here. Menu active. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, maybe we do want to left align the text. I don't know. But this looks how I want it to. It functions the way I need it to. We just need to make sure that we get these click events in. We need to do it for the navigation. We also need to do it for our search drawer. The functionality is essentially the same. We're adding and removing classes. The complexity is that we're also doing it for submenus. Yeah, and that's what I want to sort out this evening. I want to find an efficient way to do that. And I just am not interested in struggling through in a live stream, doing that live tomorrow. Some things I don't mind struggling through. That is not what I want to do tomorrow. I kind of want to come prepared with that. So there's that. Monique says, sounds like a plan. Thank you, everybody who came to hang out with me today. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new here. I would love to have you. Helps the algorithm, helps get this type of content pushed out to more people who might enjoy it. if you're hanging out over on Instagram, come give me a follow. I would appreciate it. I've been on Instagram for 14 years and I have 261 subscribers. Clearly, or followers rather. I haven't been trying at all. So if you're curious about what my life looked like 14 years ago, you can go look there. Yeah, I do want to grow my audience on Instagram. I really enjoy hanging out there. So come give me a follow. Feel free to DM me if you have any questions about what I'm doing on the channel. I would say my content is kind of like lifestyle dev adjacent. So there's that. Thank you, Malik. I appreciate that. Monique Robinson, have a great rest of your day, everybody. Come back and hang out with me tomorrow. I love you all. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.